Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Art Stories. Today we have Elizabeth Cross. Hi, Elizabeth. How are you?
Hello. Good. How are you?
I'm well, thank you. So, where are you now, Elizabeth?
I am situated in my office in Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada.
And is that where your studio is as well?
Yes, it is.
Amazing. And I see
Yeah.
one of your beautiful pieces in the back there. Well, let's take us back to the beginning. When did you first get into art, or was it just always a part of your life, or was there a moment when you thought, yes, this is it?
Yeah. Well, yes. So I have always been into art, and especially in my 20s. I was a secret closet painter, and I just always did it. I always painted, and I always, if I couldn't afford my own art, I would just make it for myself. And one of the first pieces that I actually sold was I was just painting in our living room in my 20s, and I sold it to the mailman. And that was like, what? You want my art? These tulips that I'm painting, right? So it was just like, I'm like, wow, that's pretty cool. But the thing is, my whole career had been all in science and environmental work. So I just kind of just sort of pushed it to the side all the time. And then I guess 2018, I really wanted to go into Art Vancouver, the Art Vancouver show, and I was just too scared. And I was just like, my husband's like, come on, like shut up, let's just do it, let's just go
Yeah.
for it, right?
Uh-huh.
So I did it, and I haven't even looked back since. It was awesome. Like I felt like I was going to puke when I was at the show because I felt like so nervous, like leading up to it, and am I good enough? Is anybody going to like my work? And it was just, yeah, it was just an incredible. I think I sold that first show. It's like $8,000 worth of stuff, and I was
I
like, yeah.
Well, your work is gorgeous, and you can feel your energy behind it, and
Aw.
you have your style, which is really nice. It's very much your work. I heard once somebody say your language. You developed your language.
Yeah, I think that's right, actually. It's like your personality coming out on the canvas, right? And you can have different inspirations and different people you kind of look to sort of emulate, but you can't. It all just comes out and you create your own style.
Right. So when you're paint, so really, then it's actually fairly newer in the grand scheme of things. You've been painting for forever, but I feel like you really jumped into the community and I thought you'd been there since the forever.
Yeah, no, it's just more of just because I was so immersed in the environmental side of things, I just thought that was me and I didn't have the confidence to go out. But when I just did it, you can do both, right? You can be both sides. Yeah.
Yeah. Are you still active with the environmental side, or is your day-to-day mostly art now?
I do have a sustainability consulting company that does consulting on the side occasionally. So I've written some ESG reports, environmental social governance reports, but mainly I'm focused now on art, just because life is short and you got to do what you got to do and you got to enjoy it. So.
Absolutely. Do you find that's changed your style over the years or impacted your artwork, or have you always had this passion for flowers and nature, or
I
is it all
don't. I
come
think
together?
I've always liked to paint flowers and faces, and I guess for me, I think the environmental side or the nature side comes because of when you look. I don't. My kids laugh at me and say, "Mom, stop taking such close-ups of flowers and bark and I'm like
Yeah.
fascinated with, you know, the whatever the stamens coming out and the colors and
Hmm.
how intricate the detail is, right?
Hmm.
And I'm, so for me, it's just more the importance of nature, the importance of our little world we live on,
Hmm.
and just if I can bring that across to somebody, the importance of nature and life, right?
Hmm.
So, yeah.
Hmm. And you use such vibrant colors, but I also see you have a black and white one behind you, so you do a bit of both.
Yeah, I know. This one, well, I don't know if you can really see it,
Hmm.
but yeah, a lot of people like that for like, it's very dramatic. So it gives a space a really dramatic, sophisticated style. So I've had people buy them for their dining rooms and living rooms, and a lot of people gravitate to the black and white. I mean, it goes with everything, right? So, and then I do a lot of neutrals and grays, but I really, really love doing the colors because, I don't know, I think for me when I'm painting, like, when I don't really choose the colors I paint with in the day, right? I'll just go out and if I'm happy, it's yellows and reds and oranges and, but if I'm kind of like down or a little gloomy, it's the neutrals or the grays or, yeah.
Fascinating. So you'll just pick in that day, you'll go with the flow, and whatever comes out, comes out.
Yeah, because I found that if I start to overthink it and go, oh, I want to, paint, it doesn't work. You just got to go with the flow. When I start thinking about anything when I paint it, it messes up. Better not to think.
What does your painting practice look like? Is there a preparation before? Do you just get in there and start painting? Do you listen to something specific? What does that look like?
For me, so you were asking like if my studio is at my home, right? So my studio is very different. So I paint outside. So I don't know if you've seen on Instagram lately, but we had snow in Vancouver, and so I painted in the snow and I added snow to my art. It was really, really, and so I try and get out there as long as it's not raining, then I'm out there in my backyard, and I'll put little bits of greenery into my art, and sometimes you'll be able to see it, sometimes you won't. It'll be covered up by the paint, but yeah, so that's sort of it. And then so when I go out there, sometimes I'll see something like an inspiration color palette on Instagram, if I'm going around, and I see something, I'm like, oh, I love those colors together. So you can choose like love those colors and then just make it into my style or your style, or so it's kind of just what inspires me, yeah.
Do you paint every day, or is it a little bit every day, or you find you're inspired and then you'll go crazy?
Sometimes I go really crazy. Like I'll have out in the backyard, 10 canvases on the go kind of thing. And yeah, it kind of comes like, I definitely paint every week for sure, probably 2 or 3 days at least. But then there's all the other stuff, the emails and the newsletters that you have to keep up with, all the social media and Instagram and TikTok and all that stuff, right? So it's, I mean, everybody thinks, oh, it's just painting, but oh my God, it's not,
It's a business.
Yes, and I've just started with, I don't know if you've heard of Art Storefronts, but they...
oh, exciting.
Yeah, so basically, it's a really incredible group that you create your own site, but then you can actually make anything, like with any of my work, you can make prints, you can make throw pillows, you can make, they've got all kinds of different things you can make on the site. So when my originals are all sold out, then, you have the option to just make a print. You can choose the how large you want it, if you want it framed, and they do all the shipping and organize everything else. So you don't have to ship it out.
Incredible. That's great to share actually with other artists that will listen to this. Thank you. That's exciting.
Yeah. No, it really is. And they've got an incredible marketing leg where they, if you want to know every single day of what to, put out there and get ideas, they're there for you. So it's pretty incredible.
Thank you. Yeah, that's exciting. One thing that I love about you when you're painting, and you've painted at all the competitions or you're doing live demos, is you always make the canvas flat. And I laugh because I do that too. I've got tons of canvases on the floor. Were you always like that? How did that come about? Or was it just like, this is it?
Do you know, it's interesting you ask, because I'm thinking back to when I sold that piece to the mail lady. I was painting flat on my living room floor. And then it was summertime, and so she just happened to drop the mail off, right? Just hand it to me and go, oh, what's that? And I was painting flat, but I was using watercolor at that point. But I guess because if you use watercolor, if you go upright, if you use too much water, it drips, right? But then I've got into acrylics, and I always do it flat because you can really get a lot of paint and texture, right? You know, you
Yeah.
can add the molding paste, you can add, all kinds of different mediums in there and gels, because if I was to do it, it would just, I mean, I like that drippy look, but yeah, so sometimes I do stand it up quickly and let it drip and then place it back down.
Oh,
But
smart.
yeah, no, I love painting flat because
Right.
then you can put lots of paint on the canvas.
Yes, texture. Yeah, you have got lots of texture. How do you find your personality comes out in your artwork?
I think, well, I'd have two examples if you want me to show you some examples of my work.
Absolutely.
So, so the first one's a face that I've done, and all my art pieces are titled with love in mind. So passion, love, because I think, other than obviously the environment and nature, love is pretty much the most important thing
I
for me.
agree.
Anyways,
I agree.
but for my faces, so I do primarily florals, but I do faces as well. But the faces I use really vibrant, crazy colors because I might have blonde hair, you might have brown hair, but my God, our personalities are so filled with so many funny, quirky, weird, emotional things, right?
Yes.
So this is an example. This is called Sexy Blue Eyes. I don't know if you can
Oh,
see it.
wow.
So
Right.
you can
Okay.
see,
I love the name. This is
yeah.
fun.
So I mean, it's crazy green hair, orange
Yes.
glasses.
Yes.
It's just like a personality coming out.
Mm-hmm. I love it.
Fun earrings,
It really
and
pops.
yeah, and I think that sort of says is like with people's personality, like you might think they're kind of bland, kind of or boring, but when you get actually deeper into really knowing about people and spending the time, there's so much so interesting. So I guess that's sort of how you know I express myself with the with all the different faces I make. And then with the florals, this is just an example. You know how we were just talking about painting, I don't know if you can see. So
Ooh,
it's hard to
that.
see with the light, but it's
No, I
got a
can
lot of
see it.
texture, and I've put like, different gold bits in the center, and yeah,
Yes.
so
Oh,
yeah.
yeah, the gold and the blue, such a nice combo.
Yeah, exactly. And this one is called I Can't Stop Thinking About You. So it's kind of, they're
Oh, I
all to do
love
with love,
that.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that. That one's really
Yeah.
stunning. Oh, do you notice living in BC and Vancouver? I'm not sure how often you travel, but do you find you choose different colors depending where you are? Like you said on your moods, would that also vary with your location? Have you noticed it all?
Yeah, that's a good point. Well, we were in Barbados recently and I painted on the beach. And I guess, I tried to choose like the blues and the yellows, like of the sand.
Mm.
Um, and then I sprinkled, this is more texture. I sprinkled sand right into my painting, right? So
Oh,
you add
cool.
more texture and stuff like that. But
Nice.
um, yeah, I would have to say so, but I mean, primarily I do paint out in my garden in BC. So yeah,
That's really nice that you do that season all year.
yeah. Well, why not, right? And the thing
Yeah.
is, I found that like sometimes my toes are freezing. I would like I lose myself completely in painting. That I forget that I'm even cold until I'm like clicked out of painting, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm really cold. you know.
Such in flow state, I guess. That's
Yes,
incredible.
exactly. 100%. Yeah.
Amazing. How have you, bringing it back to our Vancouver in that first year of you feeling so nervous, how have you evolved since then? Because I know you as this version, but how have you seen yourself evolve as an artist and the confidence as a woman and artist?
I think one thing I read was you just have to not care anymore what people think. And just you know, because I get very, you get shy on Instagram, like, should I post that? What are people going to think about me? But there was one guy, he's like, the instant I got successful was when I stopped caring what other people thought and just put it out there and just be yourself and be more authentic. And so for me, it's more going on that journey about, you know, it, you know, the sayings like you're the only one that can be you, or, you know, right? So it's just more like,
Tigger.
what, yeah,
You see, I
yeah,
double grr. You're the
yeah,
only one.
yeah, exactly. So it's more just trusting in my own self and instincts, you know?
Yeah, that's really nice. It's good inspiration for everyone and a reminder, no matter what you're in.
Yeah, exactly. Because everybody wants to be like, I want to be like that person or that person, but, you know, really just be you.
Yeah, letting yourself shine and be seen, showing your artwork is could be very scary.
And one of the things also that I recently read is if you're more authentic whenever you're going to be on Instagram or you just even a podcast like this, as long as you're consistently you, then it's sustainable. But if you're trying to be somebody else and like
Right.
pretend to be somebody you're not, then it's just you're going to be exhausted all the time.
That's a
So,
really great way to put it. I love that. I haven't heard that one yet.
yeah.
How did you feel during Art Masters, doing a live competition? What emotions did you experience?
Nauseous. I was nauseous.
I can
Like,
imagine.
oh my gosh. The first time I was at the port side, I believe.
Yeah.
I think it was the port side. No, it might have been another one, but
Halloween
no, the
one?
port side I think was the first one I did. And I felt, I was like, I, I was so, because I was also paint flat, you know,
Right.
unlike the other artists that were like this, I was very consumed in what I was doing. Whoops. I was very consumed in what I was doing, and I was just felt like beet red and like, oh my god. And you know, I just yeah, I really really liked it because it's scary, but I've done them so often now and different art competitions that it's just fun. And
Yeah.
sometimes it really works out and sometimes doesn't, you
Yes.
know.
Yeah. Well, yours, to me at least, always seemed to work out. But also, it's not necessarily about the result. It's the whole experience and having others being able to watch you, especially you, because you do it differently. Is what's funny is at the first you might have thought, oh, that's some different. And now it's like, no, people love that because they want to see how do artists do it. What does it look like?
Yeah, and what's scary is also, I mean, because the art is a lot of times is up for auction right after, and you're like, oh my God, is anybody going to choose it? You know,
Right.
and a lot of times they do, they have, so it's pretty overwhelming as well. Like just so humbling, and yeah, it's just I absolutely love it. Like
Yes.
those competitions.
And do you like to do you still have lots in the future? Are you plan to participate? Is that something
Oh
you'll
yeah, for
continue?
sure, for sure. But I mean, it also has helped me to evolve and think about using other like on. You'll see, I started a YouTube channel and I'm just starting that going. But I've used like a spatula. I've used, the dental floss that you know the
Yes.
kind that is on the
Sticks.
thingy. Yeah,
Yeah.
that Q-tips. So it's really helped me to think, what other things could I add? You know, and one even, for example, this is a little bit slightly different, but out in my backyard we have an apple tree, and some blossoms fell onto one of these paintings, and I just glossed them over. And then when I told the buyer about them, or the person that was looking at the painting, they're like, oh my god, we want it even more because of those actual blossoms that fell into it and have been glossed over, right?
Yes. Yeah.
So it's just more like helping. It's helped me definitely think outside the box, and you know,
Good. Yeah. Do you still, well, have you ever taken classes, art classes, or do you continue
I
to take
took
them?
at UBC. I took an art class that went through all the different types of media. Just one class. I remember they would have these for drawing. That they had this homeless guy come in, and he they get naked, and this guy was on his like he was yeah. Anyways, he was in such strange position. I don't even want to say it, but
Yeah.
anyways, yeah. So I've done that one art class, but that was more about drawing, and that's when I realized, and my teacher realized, like I cannot draw. He's like at the end of the class, he came. You know those wooden stick people. How do you to learn
Yes.
how to draw a human figure? He took me to the side and he's like, "You better take this home and practice," because I was so bad, so bad. So yeah.
Interesting, because I feel like most people would assume if you can paint, you can draw, or you can draw, you can paint, but it really is almost a different sport.
No, no. And my husband's like, don't tell people you can't draw. I'm like, I literally can't draw. But that's what I mean. I think anybody says, oh, I'm not creative, I can't draw. Like, it doesn't matter. You just let it
Yeah.
come out of you, you know? Just have fun with it and see where it goes, you know?
Yeah, I've always noticed your husband has, well, at least from the outside, been so supportive with your artwork. Has that impacted you or helped, or how does that play a
Oh my
role?
God, him and my sister have been like my biggest cheerleaders, but my husband he's so helpful. He's the one, like I said, pushed me to go into Art Vancouver in 2018, just like go. He believes in me. I tell him he's obsessed with my Instagram because he's on it all the time looking, did you post something? You know, he's so funny. And he comes to all the shows and he puts up my art, and he's very, for me, I'm an artist. I'll be like, okay, put it here, put it there. It doesn't
Me too.
it doesn't, you know, if it doesn't hang right, I don't, it's
Yeah.
whatever, it's close enough. He's like, Scott is like level out and measuring, and so, yeah, so he comes all over with me.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Well, I see the teamwork from the beginning, and it's incredible. And I think it makes a world of a difference for people if you have that cheerleader.
100%. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. Well, your
he's
sister's been.
been ultimate, he's just, yeah, the reason why I've got where I've got.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's nice to hear. Yeah, I know your sister's been supportive of me too. So thank
Yeah,
you.
yeah, she loves your art.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. Back to your sustainability and environmental work. How do your What sort of themes would you think come up into your artwork? Or are you not even conscious of it and you're so in the flow? But I feel like sustainability, how to say like responsibility and resilience within the environment. I
Yeah,
know you work outside, so that also feels like
yeah.
already.
So a lot of my work, so so I have a master's in bioresource engineering. That led me to wastewater treatment, and I worked for YVR doing hazardous materials, um, like spill training, all the recycling for YVR. And then I went on to TELUS and I did environmental work there at TELUS. But for me, if you go to my website, you'll see some of the faces I've done. One being Donald Trump. I know, don't hate me. Donald Trump and Kamala Harris, and they were all done in recycled plastic bits. So, like, you know, the things that you just can't recycle, right? Like, or, you know, like, or that are actual garbage, right? Like well, this is a bad one, but like a tampon applicator. Like, it's,
Yeah.
you know,
No,
stuff
it's
that,
good to
and
hear what could be
mhm.
used.
Yeah. And you know, chip bags. Like, so I cut them all up in little bits, and oyster fishing baskets, and
Oh,
you'll
wow.
see it's all made out of you know, either materials you can recycle or material that waste that just
Right.
ends up in the landfill.
Yeah.
So and so I've done Donald Trump and then Kamala Harris, and then there's two beach scenes where you can see the plastics coming out, you know, onto the beach from the ocean. And I was in Thailand in Phi Phi Island, and we were just swimming, and really just the way the currents go, they in Thailand they get a lot of waste coming onto their beach, like a lot of plastics. So it really, those were pretty much the reason why I made those pieces.
Wow, so you were literally swimming in it and could see it.
Yes, and one of the pieces is called Swimming in Plastic, and it's got a Playmobil. So, like, you think of Playmobil for, I've, bought Playmobil for my kids, but it's not recyclable. It's reusable, like to another child, but you can't,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
recycle that
Mm-hmm.
specifically. So, it's all the waste that we do create as a society, and, it's just bringing more impact to think about, do I really need to buy those four muffins that are packed in all that
Right.
packaging, and or
Good point.
those gummy bears that are packed in more, like there's I was showing my husband this packaging a couple days ago, and it's like little gummy hamburgers, like it's little fun things, but they're all
Yes.
packaged, but then in a bigger package with
Yeah.
cart, like it's like just
Oh my.
excessive
Yes.
waste, right?
Right.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
No, that's a nice visual, and your titles are very inspiring or emotion provoking, I would say.
Hmm.
How about your kids? Did you paint? Would you continue painting throughout raising them? I don't even know how old they are.
Oh yeah, yeah. No, I have a really large brown painting, and I remember before. This is probably in 2010, maybe. Yeah, probably about 2010. And my middle daughter, Starla, she was. We had it flat on our dining room table, and we were just painting it together. And
Yeah.
so she painted the top right of this flower that I was doing, and
Oh,
she painted the brown part or whatever. And yeah, so we still have that painting today. So
oh,
I
great.
painted with them, yeah, throughout, yeah, all
Their
the time.
childhood. That's
Hmm.
great. It's good for them to have encouraged self-expression.
Yeah, and they all paint now.
Oh,
Like,
really?
yeah, well, for they paint for fun,
Yes. No,
and
but that's great that they're still doing it and they enjoy it.
yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. I
Hmm.
know my daughter. She was traveling through all of Europe last year, and she just had a journal, and so wherever she was, and she could just take out her water paints and paint the
Nice.
scene. Right, so she has a journal that, here's the vision, here's where I was, and this is what I saw, kind of thing. So
I have a little sketchbook like that too, and in the moment you don't think it's that important, but then you look back and you go, "Oh yeah, I remember that."
yeah,
Hmm.
yeah, it's really
That's nice.
nice.
Do you have any other creative outlets?
Let me see. Um,
I'm sure you do, but
yeah, well, I'm trying to get into gardening more.
oh, nice.
But you'd think that I'd be somebody, because I was saying I really need help with my garden, right? Like, how do I make it look pretty? And then they're like, just imagine it's a canvas, and continue from your home outward, right? But it's difficult. But you know, yeah. So I've been trying to sort of focus on that, and I'm hoping come spring is knocking on our door. So what? Oh, is it tomorrow? Right? Isn't it September 21st tomorrow?
No, I think one more day.
Oh
Well,
no,
it's the
March
19th
21st.
today.
Yes. Oh yeah,
March
20.
21st.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Oh,
2 days.
exciting. Oh,
So, yeah, so probably gardening.
mm-hmm.
I'm just trying to think of creative outlets. Um, yeah, no, I think
Mm-hmm.
painting's pretty much it.
That's no, that's great. I just like to hear because you never know. Sometimes people say something and it's like, what? It's just so, but I think it's a skill to be able to focus on your painting artwork.
Well, and with sustainability consulting on the side that I was doing previously,
Right.
um, now I just want to focus, because
Mm.
you find if you're doing too many things, it's hard to just get anything done well.
Yes,
You
I
know?
agree. Yes, somebody else said that the other day as well. Are you around when others, do you see often beside, well, I mean, I guess at the art fairs or any exhibitions, do you notice a reaction or a pattern in people when they see your work? Or what do you think they feel?
Yeah, I mean, I think people are really drawn to it just for the simple fact that they come over and they're wanting to take photos with it, and
Hmm.
post it on their social media sites or, um, yeah, I think so. I think what draws them in really is the texture of all the work,
Right.
right? If it's one thing when you come across it, but when you actually look at it in detail, you can see there's just so much more detail. Even with
Right.
the pieces I make, and I go by them every day, I'm like, yeah, I didn't even notice that section. Like,
Yes.
yeah.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
I think
That's
that's the reaction that there's just,
texture.
a, it's very bright and very happy. That's what,
Hmm. Hmm.
that's kind of what I want to portray for my art.
Yeah. Well, I definitely feel that. It's just curious to see because you're on the other end of it.
Hmm.
So, do you have an online art course?
Well, no, it's in the works. So I do have something in the works that I'm developing
Yes.
uh, that I want to put out there, but it's more about not so much like a fine art course. It's more about the creativity behind it, and finding your own style, and because so many people say they're not creative,
Yeah.
but it's not true. They are, and so more about color blending and you know
Mm.
sort of teaching them sort of techniques that I use to bring interest to the canvas, kind of.
Right. What kind of techniques, when you're painting, are you conscious of techniques or are you just
No, the
going?
thing that I do is so yeah, like we were saying, we get in that state of flow, right? And but at the beginning, I'll think, okay, I want to put the flowers, for example, the flowers starting really heavy at the top and going like in a triangle. That's a lot of the
Mm.
times it's like a sort of triangle with drippy, flowers at the end, and I always try to leave sort of empty space. So
Mm.
in before I sort of get started, I kind of know where I'm gonna put them,
Right.
you
Okay.
know. So if I just want them coming to the left and going to the right, or do I want it going from dark to light or light to dark, kind of thing.
Mm.
But other than that, there's not really.
You have
um
a vision, but once you get started, you just let it go.
yeah, how about you? Is that the way you work, or?
It's a good question. It depends. Um, Often, if I'm doing something new, I rarely have an idea. I find I have to actually just start painting, and I usually start with texture, and then
Yeah,
once I'll do that, then I'll think of some other layers, and then the layers will just keep coming, and then I make something, and I just keep working on it until I go, yeah, that feels right. So
yeah,
basically, because I try to switch up my styles every year, I have this period of like, hmm,
yeah. You gotta make sure. Yeah, figuring out how to make it,
yes,
hone it in
makes
and perfect it, kind of thing.
yes, something work. But then once I have a series or style for that season, then I do, yeah, I kind of have an idea, but say the color choice, like you, will just be whatever's around. I might have a color palette, but I'm also mixing colors. And then sometimes it's also logistically, like if I have too much paint, then I find, okay, I'm using more of this on the other canvases because I don't
Yeah,
want to
yeah,
waste it. Or if there's not enough, I'm
exactly.
like, that's going to be a smaller blob
Yeah,
because I don't want to put more paint on because I'm almost done painting. So sometimes it's funny because it kind of works out in like the logistics, but I also will have 10 out like you on the floor too, just to almost save paint too, but also let something dry. Do you let each layer dry or can you work on it in one
it's a
go?
bit of both. Sometimes I let certain parts dry, but a
Mhm.
lot of times you'll see. I have this weekly color mixing on Instagram, and the last one I did was just adding this red with this green, and you just when you mix it together instead of waiting for it to dry, it brings on a life of its own. It's so
Right,
beautiful,
right.
So sometimes yes, but sometimes no. I'll just work on it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I really like the white, well, blank space because I'm just looking at the one behind you. How do you eye how much or what's the thought process behind that? So if you're teaching somebody, what kind of tips would you have of having that contrast? Because I find you do that really well with always having the right amount of contrast in a piece.
Yeah, so like, do you mean with the empty space, right? The empty.
Yeah, and even the color, now that I'm just thinking kind of all of it, almost tips or just, I think it might even be so subconscious for you, but you really have that eye, so it
Yeah,
always happens. But how would
yeah.
you explain that?
Well, it's interesting because to be perfectly honest, I really don't. You kind of just, I'm sort of eyeballing it as I go, right?
Mm,
And sometimes what I'll do is I'll made a painting and then I'll come back and go, no, something does not look right. I need
right.
to get rid of some of those flowers, so I'll go over it with white or make it more empty. And then
Mm.
I'm like, wow, that's way more interesting, right? So
Oh, okay.
it's more following your gut, but for me, it's more like just I'm just trying to look at this one. So, for example, you'll see this one.
Yeah.
It's got all these flowers on this side, but then
Hmm.
a bunch of black empty space on that side. It's just if I had filled it all up with this, it just doesn't make it. It makes it more
Yeah,
interesting with a you know.
I agree. No, it's great.
So I would say like a third, kind of like, if you keep your flowers to like 2/3 of the canvas, and then 1/3 sort of maybe do a little petal that has fallen on that
Right.
other
Right.
third.
Hmm.
Um, and then in terms of colors, you know, my daughter, she'll come out and say, I think you've used too many colors, right? It's too busy. It's too
Right.
busy. And it's true.
Right.
So maybe, I'm like, so also I've experimented just using with 3 colors or 4 colors, right? And it's amazing what you can actually create with. You don't need all those colors because you can blend so many of
Right.
those colors together.
Yeah, yeah, and that makes its own spectrum within it.
Yeah, I mean, to be perfectly honest, my sister, she's like Lizzie. 70% of your work is really awesome. 30 is shit. and
I love
you
how
know,
honest she is. You need that.
yes,
That's great.
and it's true, right? And it's like
Mhm.
yes, but the thing is, that's why when people think, "Oh, I'm going to make a painting," and if you think, "Oh, it sucks, it's horrible," just do it. It's okay. That's
Yeah.
okay. You can go over it. Like there's so many paintings that I've gone over, and they just become so much better.
Yes, me too. Again, I have one at my parents' house. It's been like 6 years, and every time I go back there, I think I'm gonna change a little bit. They're like, "Stop touching it." It's like, but something's not right.
I know, right? And
Yeah.
and and as an artist, you just know when you look at it. It doesn't
Yeah.
seem right to you.
Yes.
But it's funny because so we have this me and my friend Sasha Westerndorp, who you know.
Yes.
We used to be neighbors, but I've since moved, but we still sell our art on Blenheim, which is a big street, a busy street in Vancouver. And we've been very successful in the summers selling art just directly on the streets, right? But
Wow.
yeah, so she's just been she's been also a very very person that's quite brutally honest and
Yes.
sets me on the straight and narrow.
Oh yeah, she's funny.
Yeah.
She's a great one. It's good, you need that. And I find for myself too, if everyone goes, "Oh, it looks great, it looks great." It's like, "Well, thanks," but that doesn't actually make me feel good because now I don't know if you're being honest or not. And I also need some critical feedback so I can make it better. Hmm. Have you experimented in other not maybe not styles, but just other areas, and then you think, nope, I'm gonna go back to flowers and faces, or are there other things you've been experimenting in that you're enjoying?
Yeah, well, so in the past, so I used to do metal work. So
Oh
I
wow.
used to do welding. So I've made tables and beds and yeah, all kinds of
Wow.
things. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So yeah, back when I was younger in my 20s as well, I used to weld as well and taken courses at BCIT and stuff like that. But so I was doing the welding, but in terms of experimenting, I've done some. Okay, so I have some landscapes on my website,
Hmm.
and there's part of my road to Whistler. I took this amazing as you know, going up to Whistler, the highway's spectacular, the sea to sky. So I've done some landscape paintings of that. So definitely trying to slightly change,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm learning, right, in that area, right? And
True.
so it's something I definitely want to do more of
Mm-hmm.
is the landscapes, but I do really always come back to the faces and the flowers.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah. No, it's great, and I don't think you should deny that, or anyone should deny thinking, "Oh, I'm doing the same thing." It's like, well, that's because you're doing it for a reason, and you should be doing it if you feel
Yeah,
like.
I enjoy it. I guess for me, art is, I don't know, it's probably the same for you. It feels good for my soul. Like it feels like I'm just zoning out and you go to a place where, I don't know, I guess my soul needs to be. I don't know. So, you know,
100%. Yeah, no, when I go paint, I feel like this is playland and playtime for my soul. And
hmm
just what a beautiful space to be in.
yeah, and your time goes by so fast and,
Yeah.
and you're not thinking about anything except the colors and how beautiful what you're
Mhm.
doing is. Yeah.
Well, I don't think anyone's doing art because they need to. They're definitely doing it out of passion and joy and a pull towards it for some reason.
Yeah.
Hmm. Will you bring all your supplies outside and then back in when you go and do it? Is it, or like, can you leave your artwork outside to dry overnight? Logistically, do you bring it all
In
in?
the summertime, yes. Yes, you can.
Okay.
You totally can. Um, but not in the winter. So
Yeah.
in the winter, I'll bring it inside and it'll dry, but outside it'll dry within like an hour, right?
Oh
Because,
wow.
yeah,
Hmm.
so it gets so hot, right? So, but yeah, but mainly I'll bring all my stuff, outside and set
Hmm.
up and yeah.
Do you,
My daughter she's made a table out of waste recycled wood. Yeah, so
cool.
that's what I paint on. Yeah.
Oh, how
So
nice.
yeah.
Have you ever painted on anything that you've created, like welded?
Nope.
Oh, interesting. I feel like,
I can't. Well, so when I did weld certain things, I would get them powder coated. So that means it was a
oh, okay.
special coating of
Yes.
paint on it. Yeah.
Yes. Oh, okay. I do understand. Wow, that's quite the process. That's some serious work.
Yeah,
Good for
that was
you.
long, but that was a long time ago. So,
Still though.
but my daughters they took metalwork in high school and they've created lots of things around our house.
Wow,
So yeah,
that's incredible. I love that. I was gonna ask something. Um, mm, about your work and your environment. I had a question there. Oh, do you have, say, a vision looking forward, say, artistic goals by chance, or goals as an artist, or are you so just present and in the flow and whatever it might be? Like, is there a vision for you, or are you just in the moment? What is that world?
you mean do I have any like goals for the next 5, 10 years kind of thing?
Potentially, yeah. I'm not sure. However, you open question because it could be. It's so different for each person.
hmm
Where if I ask such a question like that, it's like no. But then they start talking, and then you go, oh, well, really, you do, but you just don't see it as in those words.
Yeah, you know, it's funny that you asked that because I have been thinking about that a fair bit. And in my ultimate, so I'm going to continue as I'm going because I'm really enjoying this journey I'm on. But I've really thought about how do I make a whole brand associated with my art?
Mm.
Like, how do you make bedding and,
Oh, cool.
dresses and towels and, you know, art like cups with all your stuff, but not just the stuff that you can get it done at London Drugs, but
Right.
something that's really beautiful. Like, I mean, if I was ultimately, it would be my sort of home decor kind of brand.
Wow, cool. Like a designer home decor brand, really, but with the patterns being all your
Yeah.
original works.
hmm
Oh, I could see that in the department stores. You go over and there's Elizabeth Cross. Actually, you got a good name.
Yeah, or like a vase with the black and the white, or the,
Yes.
or bedding, or throw pillows and that kind of thing,
Right.
right? And I guess what sort of inspired me to think that along that lines was being part of art storefronts. They do
Mm.
have where you can go with any of my work. You can now go click and you can make throw pillows and different items with it on, and some of it is looks really nice, right?
Mhm.
And so yeah, so it's just something I've been sort
Yeah.
of toying with, but
No, I
yeah,
love that idea. You could, I think because you have, well, your work could work for everything because you could have the neutrals for the majority of things and then some statement
exactly.
pieces and it would still all be super cohesive. But oh,
Yeah.
that's really fun. I'm excited. Well, I can't wait to see it whenever that happens at
Yeah, yeah,
the
yeah. Well, and I was even thinking about like jewelry, like flower pieces and,
Right. Yeah.
yeah, so I don't know. We'll see. We'll
Yeah.
see where it goes.
Well, that's why I just like to ask because I always wonder what people you never know and it's inspiring to think of that
Yeah.
because I had never thought about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure your work would be just the same.
Yeah, but I have a hard time painting neutrals. I've been experimenting, but I find all of them are very super bright. So I don't think there could be too much of it. It would just
Yeah.
be a bit, even I'm like, whew,
Yeah.
settle down. Mm. What would be some inspiration you have for young artists or words of advice?
Oh, just go out there and go in shows and go, even if you can't afford a Art Vancouver show at the beginning, then,
Mm.
go to the pop-up markets and get yourself out there and get on Instagram and just be your true self, and get out there and see what, people really are drawn to from your work,
Mhm.
and yeah. So
Are-
more just really trusting in yourself.
I love that. Trusting in yourself. That's nice. Definitely. Have you had any challenges come up over in, say, the past 10 years as an artist or artistic
For
challenge?
me, it was more the fight with the sustainability side and environmental.
Mm-hmm.
This is what I should be doing. This is definitely what I should be doing,
Mm-hmm.
um, and you know really what I would want to do. I
Right.
really want to paint. But saying that, it's so funny because now that you're talking and you asked about a creative outlook or a
Mhm.
creative other thing, and
Yes.
I will tell you one other thing, and it's really a cool thing that I'm working on, and I just want to focus as well, on it. But it's creating. So I've started to develop these stories of climate change stories. So what it looks like 50 years out, 100, 150, 200, 250, and 300.
Mm-hmm.
Because everybody talks about sustainability and climate change. Oh, it's coming, it's looming. Well, what does that actually mean to me and
Right.
you? What does it mean to my children's children? And
Right.
what, what are the particulate counts going to be in the air? Will they be able to breathe? Well, where's all the population migration going to be from the different countries? Where where it will not be inhabitable? What kind of cool
Oh, cool.
inventions will be
Wow.
created? So
Wow.
anyway, so that's just another creative outlook or creative,
So that's
yeah,
something you're working on.
as well. Yeah.
That would be cool to have at the show because I would be interested in reading that because it really does tie to your work, even if it's not literally, but you are artwork. I mean,
Yeah, so I
nature.
want to, yeah, so these will be short, well, they are short stories, and I was hoping my goal is to put it on Kindle. So,
Oh, they're actual like novels.
yeah, mini stories, but all in one mini one. So you get the six, looking 50 years
Cool.
out, 100 years out, 150, 200.
Have you ever met Nathan at Art Vancouver?
The photographer or the interviewer
Editor.
guy?
Yeah, the interview. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
He writes, and he's almost finishing it. I'm like sidetracked now, but
Yeah.
speak to him about it because he's been working on it for years. He's almost done his like 6 short stories, and he's been doing writing for a long time.
Wow. Well,
Yeah.
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 I hope it doesn't take me that long, but
Yeah, well, because he also does a whole bunch of other stuff, but
yeah.
and scripts or whatever it might be. But it's just interesting. That's see, you're a writer too.
Yeah.
Well, that's very creative.
Yeah.
That's exciting. I'd like to read that. Amazing. And how else do you spend your time? What would a day to day look like for you?
Mm, what does day to day look like for me? Well, we have a Airbnb suite.
Oh, nice.
So we take care of that. We greet our guests and we
Ah.
make sure everything's ready for them when they arrive.
Mhm.
And we get guests from all over, all over the world, the UK, Germany, the States.
Mhm.
Yeah, so it's just a revolving little door.
Mhm.
Yeah, and so I exercise at the community center and go for walks and just paint,
Yes. Yeah.
paint and yeah, just
Do
working
you
on my
ever get
website and blogging and that kind of thing.
do you ever get do you ever get drained from painting or is it always refueling?
The painting part is refueling,
Mm.
100%.
Mhm.
The other part of it, like managing, making like
Botanicals.
Instagram or different posts on Facebook or the website or blogging. It's I really enjoy the creativeness, but you definitely do get drained
Mhm.
for sure.
Mhm.
So you try and like schedule things so that you can,
Yeah. Yeah.
have a day off just to paint or focus on something else that you need to do.
Do you schedule to post every day?
Yes. So I'm trying to.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Wow, good for you. It's a
Yeah.
lot of work because it's the other side of it's a marketing role. It's really another full-time job.
100%.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, exactly. You
Mm-hmm.
know?
Mm-hmm. Oh, good. Any other tips or tricks for artists or maybe not even artists, but somebody who is trying to practice and develop their creativity?
Yeah, I would say for me, looking on Facebook or Instagram or TikTok to see what you're actually drawn to, the type of work, um, the media, and then just don't even think about it and go get those materials,
Right.
or go to Michael's and go and experiment and go have fun. And it's
Yeah.
just the only way you learn. For
Mm-hmm.
for example, I was talking to my sister and she's like, "Oh yeah, I was grinding this piece of metal yesterday." And I'm like, "What?" And she goes, "Yeah, I'm trying this new technique out where I'm putting resin on metal and you got to shine the stuff and I've got a grinder." And I'm like, "Way to go, because you're just going for it and trying it, right?" So
Mm-hmm.
and there's times when it's not gonna work out, but just keep going and
Yeah.
go and just yeah, it's a process, right? It's kind of going to find the fun things that you can get at Opus or Michaels or Desairs,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
and experimenting with it, right?
Hmm. I just ordered some extra heavy gloss this morning. Woke up first
Oh,
thing was like, I need more gloss.
yeah, yeah, I know. I love that stuff. I
Hmm.
put it on my paintings and I don't even mix it sometimes with paint. I just whip it on like butter and
Right.
and then it dries so it clear, it cool. It's just I love it.
Nice. Oh, I'll
Yeah.
have to try that. Cool. Thank you.
Yeah.
Where can everyone find your work or how can they contact you? Website, Instagram.
Yeah, so I'm on Instagram at ecrossart
Hmm.
and my website's elizabethcross.ca.
Hmm.
And in Vancouver, a lot of my work I have at Stockholm Design, which is a store on Broadway.
Oh, nice.
And yeah, and I'm going to be at Art Vancouver coming up at the end of April. And my actual one of my faces is going to be on two of the buses to advertise for the show.
Oh, you're right. I've seen that. I thought I
Yes.
recognized it. I was like, I know that word, but I forget exactly. Oh, how exciting.
Yeah.
It looks good. Did you see the
Yeah.
draft of it?
I've seen the draft. I can't wait to see it in
Yeah.
person. So I'm going to
Me
go find
too.
out what line it's on and go
Yes,
take a picture.
take lots of pictures. You'll see it
Yeah, yeah,
around
yeah.
downtown. Sometimes I'm walking and I'm like, oh, there we go.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh, that's so
So
exciting.
super, super exciting. Yeah.
Yes, her work will be exhibiting at Art Vancouver at the Convention Center April 24th to the 27th, 2025 in
Yeah.
Vancouver, Canada. Well, thank you so much, Elizabeth, for your time today and sharing yourself and your work and everything about you. I really appreciate it, and I'm honored to know you as a human over, I don't know, past 6, 7 years, I guess. It's been so
Yeah.
fun to do all of these art activities with you.
Thank you very much. And thanks for having me on your show.
My pleasure. Thank you. And I will link, just for everyone listening, her website and Instagram in the description as well. Thank you.
Awesome. You're welcome.